Good morning and welcome to Where Entrepreneurs Thrive. My name is Russ Nolting. On this week's episode, we're speaking with Jackie Stratton from Denver, Colorado to discover how she became the entrepreneur we see today and what makes her thrive. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Russ. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for asking.
I'm so glad you're here. Tell us your story, Jackie. How'd you get into real estate and how'd you find your way to KW?
Sure. So back in 2013, I was a full-time mom and part-time waitress, and some Keller Williams office staff had come into the restaurant I was working at, and we'd had a great conversation and really got along well. And I'd mentioned that I'd been around real estate my whole life because my mom was a top agent in Missouri. I'd been licensed there as well. And anyway, they had such a good time in the restaurant that they ended up having their Christmas party at the restaurant I worked at as well. So.
Oh, that's cool. So they stopped by the restaurant and ended up throwing their Christmas party there. What happened next? How did you decide to jump into the business?
Yeah, so I started talking with this gentleman. His name was Rob Tate. He was in leadership at one of the Keller Williams offices here. And I had mentioned to him that I had kind of contemplated, since my kids were getting a little bit older and I was thinking of a different career path than working in the restaurant industry, that maybe I should get my license. But I was a little bit nervous because I had realtors in the family, that maybe there wasn't enough work-life balance. And he had talked about that with me and encouraged me to consider Keller Williams because that was hugely important. And that was something Gary talked about quite a bit, was to have that balance and with a family life.
So I'm from Missouri, as you know, and I know your mom because we used to sell real estate in the same community. Did you see among, people from your hometown that were in the business a lack of balance?
Well, I think because my mom was the number one agent in the whole state, I don't necessarily think she had the best balance in those times back in the 80s and 90s. And in fact, I'd never even heard of Keller Williams at the time I met those people at the restaurant. So that was a new company and a new concept to me. And I thought that sounded kind of interesting and thought it was something I'd look into. Because I worked in the restaurant industry for many years off and on since I was a teenager. And I kind of felt like I was in my early 30s and I was ready to make some new changes that I wanted to do. And I thought, well, my kids are kind of in that middle school range. Maybe they don't need my attention as much to the degree. Maybe it was time to look into real estate. And Rob at the time had said, your mom kind of worked more than she necessarily needed to. Maybe she didn't understand leverage and a lot of the things that Keller Williams encourages agents to do. And so I thought, well, that sounds like a great idea. Maybe I could fit that into my lifestyle.
Got it. Cool. So you immediately got into the business and joined Keller Williams. You never worked for another company. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. I've been very happy with Keller Williams. I was licensed when I was about 20 in Missouri for a brief little stint, but I never actually really got active with that with Coldwell Banker. But Keller is where I started, and I haven't felt any reason to leave because I really like the model. I like Gary's message, and I really enjoy a lot of the realtors that I work with locally and across the globe.
Got it. So Jackie, what year was this that you got into real estate in Colorado?
Yeah, so I think when I first started thinking about it, it was 2013. Took my broker's license in 2014. So it's been right around, it'll be 9 years.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, walk us through your successes as a realtor. I mean, from getting into that business around 2014 to becoming one of the top agents in the entire state. Tell us about your growth.
Sure. So my initial intention, Russ, was to be part-time. And I did tell my mom that, and she laughed and said, realtors can't work part-time. And I said, well, I will, but here I am. I don't work part-time. However, I do have a lot more balance than I think a lot of agents used to and still do. But so I did not grow up in Colorado. So I had to really build my brand. And so I started out by doing as many open houses as I could. Having been serving customers at restaurants, I felt very comfortable talking with people at open houses. So I kind of became known as the girl who always said yes when there was an open house opportunity in the office when I was new. And I would do as many as I could. And I usually pick up at least one or two unrepresented buyers that I could work with. And that was great for me, not having a huge sphere of people that I already knew here. And even knowing a lot of people in the restaurant industry, I've gotten a lot of leads that way too. And I still do transactions with people I worked with at that restaurant. So.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, so your first couple years in the business, what were your sales like? I mean, how much were you selling?
I think my first year, I did maybe 10 deals. Now I'm doing between 75 and 90 deals in a 12-month period.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, so currently 75 to 90 deals. What kind of volume and if you're willing to share, what kind of GCI or gross commission income are we looking at there?
Well, in 2022, I made MREA status for the first time. So over $1 million GCI. I think it was roughly 1.3 GCI, 55 million, a little over 55 million in closed sales.
Wow.
So yeah, thankfully, I've been able to have the majority of my business come from past client or agent referrals. I network like crazy and meet agents from all over the place and send a lot of business back to them too. Because I've lived in 4 states. I've lived in Missouri, Illinois, Texas, and here. I know a lot of people in a lot of places, and I have a huge Irish Catholic family, so I have relatives all over the place too. So I kind of figured that out a little bit after the open house thing started kind of getting my business started, going to a lot of the events like Mega Camp and Family Reunion and meeting other agents to send referrals to people I know and cared about.
I love that. I'm just thinking when you said 50 to 70 some odd units a year, some people that are listening might think that you've got a big team or that you've got a ton of help. Who's involved in this business besides you?
I have a transaction coordinator, Rebecca. I couldn't do the level of business I do without transaction coordinator help. I don't think I could. I wouldn't want to anyway. And then I encouraged my husband last year to get his license. He does have a licensed admin role, but we're not really technically a team.
Right.
I procure the leads, but he does a lot of back end stuff. He had a career in IT, so he's really helping me a lot with techie stuff and.
Right.
And been huge with that for me. So but that I don't have a big team.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, in October of 22, KW updated our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective, and we added a purpose. And the purpose that we added was where entrepreneurs thrive. We wanted to be the place where entrepreneurs thrive. And that's the name of this podcast. I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts around KW as the real estate company where entrepreneurs thrive?
Well, I love that because look, I was waiting tables and I don't have a college degree not that long ago. And now I'm making over $1 million. At least I did in 2022 and
Right.
making really good income ever since. And so I really think that's amazing. And what's unique about real estate to me is that so many of my agent friends and Keller Williams have different traits and strengths and weaknesses that make them thrive in a way that is different from each other. So we have different personalities and things that we're great at, that if we can figure out this is what works for me and hone in on that to a high level, we can be very successful. And I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Jackie, I recognized you even before I became the regional director in Colorado. I recognized you because I saw you at all of our events. In fact, one of my agents here in St. Louis, Lance Merrick, you guys were Facebook friends, and I saw your interactions on Facebook, and I recognized you as a really strong networker. Tell us about that. I mean, what does that look like for you?
I like being a people connector, and I get so much excitement from that, even more than just getting deals for myself. I love when agents in the office reach out to me and they're like, we know that you know all the best agents all over the place. Who could you tell me is great in Pensacola, Florida?
Right.
And I'll say, I've got the best friend there, and pair them up. And I love to see that. See people meet up that wouldn't have if I hadn't helped with that connection. It's super exciting to connect people together.
Yeah. one of the questions that I gave you for this, and you might have just answered it, is what do you feel like you do in the business better than the typical agent? Any thoughts on that?
Well, sometimes I think that I have more passion than my clients actually do. Like I get more excited about them getting that house they really wanted, even though their loan terms were more complicated than some of their competitors. So I
Mhm.
really get excited about winning the more challenging um, deals um, and having that that excitement and care to see that person overcome anything, no matter what. So I think um, having that drive, the competitiveness, and that passion really helps me stand out because if I've got a client, they really have a need for selling their house for a certain amount or buying a house, even though they don't have, like I mentioned before, those loan qualities that are most appealing if they're competing with other people, I can make them stand out to the other agent on the other side.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you and I interact, you know, agent to regional director, you're constantly asking me, maybe not constantly, but you're often asking me, where am I in the rankings? What's going on in Colorado? I mean, I see your competition, and it sounds like that bleeds over into what you do for your clients on a day in and day out basis.
Yeah, I am a very competitive person. There's no doubt about that, Russ.
Yeah,
I really like to keep doing better, but the person I compete with most, honestly, Russ, is myself.
yeah.
So if I did, this much last year, I want to do better each year, and thankfully, I have done that so far.
Mhm.
But we're seeing definitely more challenges in 2023 than I've seen before. And so it's given me a little bit more of a drive because my numbers are a little bit down for the first time in my career than the year previously at this time. So now I'm like, I gotta hustle. I gotta do
Yeah.
better.
So, so that's an interesting comment. And a lot of the people we're interviewing are experiencing the same thing, especially people like yourself who entered the market. Like every year that you've been in real estate, the market's pushed up quite a bit.
Sure.
And then now we are faced with 2023 where the market's not helping us. What are you doing differently this year to turn the trajectory back towards the positive?
Um, I I guess I would say differently than last year. I'm trying things I haven't tried before. I can't necessarily rely on getting as much referral business, so maybe I'll try new other ways of standing out and getting business. I'm doing more reach outs than ever before to past clients and making sure I really hone in on my sphere of those past clients. I've always stayed in touch with them, but maybe a little bit higher level this year to do reach outs because they're anxious too, because they're seeing the news stories and property tax increases. So just making sure that my relational qualities are even more enhanced than ever before, I think is definitely something I'm doing this year.
Sure, sure. What could you share what those reach outs sound like? I mean, like some people are like, gosh, what do I say to these clients? And how do I connect with them? What do you do?
Most of my clients I stay in touch with via social media, but I just call and text them, maybe send them a funny GIF. Hey, I just drove by your house. It's very natural. I don't fake most of my reach outs. I just say,
Uh,
hey, I know that there's a lot of things going on. How's your family doing this year? Or I know you're probably stressed about all the news stories, but I encourage you, and I definitely accentuate that a lot with my posts on social media
yeah,
about the market is still moving because there's a lot of negative talk in terms of, oh, the market's crashing. Well, I've heard that since I got my license here in
yeah,
2014. And the Denver market has not crashed, nor is it. But I like to do those encouraging posts like, hey, my listings are still getting multiple offers.
right.
Um, and encouraging those people that are watching to see that it's not as bleak as they might hear or see. It's still a good, robust market in many ways. But I do make those phone calls and just have conversations because I think people like that and they enjoy having reach outs because everything is so computer driven. And
Yeah,
so old school phone calls, I think, go a long way to alleviate concerns and build excitements, and people enjoy talking with me and I enjoy talking with them. And so it's usually old school stuff like that.
yeah, I love that. Do you do any other kind of lead gen, like client events or anything like that to drive more contacts?
Yeah, so my lender and I sometimes put together get-togethers for happy hour. I've been a little bit slow on that this year. My husband had a big back surgery that kind of has kept us a little bit more homebound. But as he's been recovering from that, my plans are to do some more networking events. And maybe just don't do all of my network, because now I have so many past clients. Maybe we don't need all of them in one place, but
Right.
something more specific, like for the ladies, maybe get together for Botox and mimosas, or getting together for sporting events, getting dogs together. Those are all things that are on my list to do. Yes.
Yeah. The guys like Botox too. We call it Brotox, but we
That's
do it,
awesome.
get this stuff taken care of.
I'm totally going to steal that, Russ. I'm totally going to do that. You have to come, please.
I don't know if we care about the mimosas so much, but are you still doing open
Like,
houses?
I don't do open houses to the level I used to, Russ. To give those opportunities to newer agents because I just don't have as much time to do them. But if I have a client that wants me to, you bet I will go do one. And if my business slowed down enough, I'll get back to the grindstone and do more open houses. I do believe that is still one of the best ways for anybody to build business. It's great. Get face to face with people.
Oh, sorry. What did you say?
Just getting face to face with people at an open house, it's really great. I think it's a great opportunity. And since so many agents helped me when I was new, I love to give those open house opportunities to agents at my office or people I know and trust that want to build their business.
For sure. I think about your business. I mean, licensed in 2014, over $1 million in GCI, one of the top agents at all of KW. In fact, I know that you go to Gary Keller's top agent masterminds. I think you're on the list for next week. You're kind of living the solo realtor dream. What would you say to somebody that's newer in the business that is like, how in the world do you get there? I mean, what advice would you give them today?
Take it day by day, take it month by month. Do hone in on all of the opportunities to learn from others. Go to YouTube. You can do free stuff like that. Go on YouTube, watch other realtors give advice and tips. Talk to the leadership at your office. Who should I be connecting with as a new agent in the office? Maybe I could hold open houses for some of the top agents that are too busy to hold them open. Or mastermind with them and ask them ways that they have built their business so I can learn from them. That would be, I think, the best way for newer agents to learn from agents that are doing business at a high level. What do you do? And see if the stuff that they're strong at makes sense and aligns with those people to do similar type things. I know some people that are really great at cold calling and door knocking. Those aren't my personal favorite. Right. But you have to figure out what makes sense for you to do and find agents that need help with that. Like sometimes I have clients that want to live in a very specific neighborhood and I don't necessarily have the time to go door knock, but if I have great relationships with agents in my office that I know are hustlers and they're driven, I'll give them those opportunities to go do those things. Yeah. So just talk to people, ask for help, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Anything that besides continuing to grow your, units and volume in GCI, anything else that you're looking for in 2023? Any other big goals that you've got?
Well, I have a couple of rental properties now, and I would like to do more of that. So I don't plan to hustle forever and do this much business, but for now it works for me. But I would like to have more income coming in from those kinds of streams. I'm kind of keeping my eyes open to all sorts of ideas, and I do continue to learn. I mean, 9 years in, I still have so much more to learn and to dive into. So there is definitely an advantage to being a solo agent, but I'm not opposed to, building a team at some point. So maybe I will. Never say never. I used to say never. And now I'm kind of like, well, maybe I could have a team. So yeah, I guess just always being open-minded to new things and new ideas, because life is always changing too. So you might need to make changes and be open to that.
Absolutely. Jackie, is there anything else you want to share with our audience that you haven't shared yet?
Um, just stay positive and awake and aware to, things do change and do shift, but the only thing you can work on is your attitude and staying strong and positive and just keep moving. And excuse me. I can't think of much else, but
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
just always
Well,
stay positive and keep on chugging and work hard. And as long as you're talking to people and getting out there, there's always excitement and people that need to buy and sell real estate. So
yeah, this is a market that mindset is gonna hurt a lot of agents because they will struggle with how to keep their mindset positive and focused moving forward. And we see it always when the market is a little funky.
sure. I've definitely seen a lot of angst and anxiety going on, and it's not helpful to anybody. So
Yeah.
just keep smiling. And if for any reason you feel like things aren't working out, work harder and find new ideas to give you hope to keep going.
Absolutely. Well, Jackie, I really appreciate you generously sharing your story with our audience today and congratulate you on an amazing 9 years in real estate and especially the accomplishments of 2022 that got you to millionaire real estate agent status. So congratulations and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for being such a great regional director, Russ. It's really exciting to see all that you do to get Colorado excited. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.